have decided that's not a good song to sing in worship. But it's a beautiful song because, like Jessica, I have a different interpretation on it. Because when we are experiencing our everyday life, we become most spiritually awakened. We have that growth. When we can pull up on top of the mountain and sit and look at our life. When we're down in it, we get lost sometimes in the trees. But when we can sit in meditation and look out at the bigger picture and see how we are impacting our world and our world is impacting us, I'm grateful and thankful that God can be that observer for me. We know that God is within us, all around us, omnipresent with us, and yet can also be that observer from afar, watching out for all that is, seeing all that is coming for us when we can't. So I'm thankful and grateful. And Jessica, what a beautiful share, and beautiful sharing your light, shining your light. So today I've taken Jemiah's advice, and I have my iPad. I still have my paper.
All right, old school.
Because you know, when I was in school, in college, an accounting major, and then we got that newfangled thing called Peachtree and QuickBooks. Me, I'm still doing my mom and dad's books with the paper journals. It's hard for me to give up that paper. You know, I might lose 10 cents. I might lose 10 cents on that electronic version, but I don't lose it on the paper. You know what I'm talking about. Let's give a hand to Kathy, who takes care of our accounting needs. So I've got both here, and we're going to do this. Willpower alone is not enough. Willpower alone is not enough. What did you fill in that blank during that silence, that little silence with? For me, it's God's will that makes willpower be enough. And I know I'm walking in God's will. In Unity, we recognize and honor 12 powers that Charles Fillmore gave us. I'm going to honor those teachings of Charles Fillmore this year by selecting a power to do on the final Sunday of each month. Now, I'm not going to follow the selection that some order somebody else said is the order you got to do these in. I'm going to follow divine inspiration and guidance, and I'm not going to follow a particular order. So today, I want to talk to you about willpower, God's will, good will. So just what is will? Unity defines will as the ability to choose, lead, and decide. The ability to choose, lead, and decide. So what an appropriate word for today, as we here at Unity of Gulfport will hold our first membership meeting, and we'll decide on our board of trustees. We're going to vote on that. We will choose, we will lead, and we will decide through our will, God's will, and divine guidance. So think about that. We have a will. We have free will to think what we want, do what we want, or what we think or know to be right. I have an affirmation that I would love for you to do with me. So I'll read the first part, because I know sometimes Miss Laura Ann, she'll read that whole thing. and we're all lost in it. Going, so I'm going to break it up. I move forward with confidence. As I consciously choose each step on my path.
as I consciously choose each step on my path.
Isn't that wonderful to know that we have the will and the ability to consciously choose each step on our path? You know, and we may have willpower to get up and go when we really don't want to. You know, when we really want to just stay in the bed because it's cold outside. But we have the will to help us push through a challenge or help us overcome an adversity. Then there's goodwill, God's will. What do you believe to be the best and the highest thing to do? What would God have us do? What do you sit in meditation and listen for that voice, that still small voice, or listen, watching for signs to see what would God have us do? Maybe it's God's will that brings an opportunity, as Source has infinite opportunities and endless possibilities. And the more we are in balance with, the more we are aligned with Source, the more we are allowing the natural laws to work in our life. The less we find ourselves depending on a conscious assertion of will or a conscious assertion of willpower. The more we are in alignment with our soul's purpose, the more we are aware that willpower is not something we must reach deeply for, not something we must attain or train ourselves to have. It becomes a force that arises with such enthusiasm from the depths of our being that we become unstoppable and infinitely abundant in all things, in love, in joy, in happiness, infinitely abundant in all things. And then every day we wake up and face the day like Charles Fillmore, the day he said my favorite quote of his. I fairly sizzle with zeal and enthusiasm, and I spring forth with a mighty faith to do the things that ought to be done by me today. Amen. Well, what an amazing quote that is, and what an amazing thought that is. Sizzling with the zeal to get up and to go out and do what is yours to do today. How do we develop that kind of will? That willpower that's strong and yet also simply flows from us as goodwill, with little effort or seemingly no effort at all. We practice. We practice. Most things in life are called a practice because we have to put in the work. We have to do the work. Then we reach a place where without conscious thought, without conscious effort, we are where we want to be. When you're studying the 12 powers, Unity suggests the book, Your God-Given Potential, written by Winifred Wilkinson Hausman. It's a practical, comprehensive, easy-to-understand guide of the 12 powers that Charles Fillmore gave us as a concept. So I'm going to read to you the excerpt from Your God-Given Potential on will and the power of will. It is our job in developing our God-given potentialities to re-educate the will, the directing power of our mind, to teach it to become receptive to spiritual motivation rather than goals determined by our materialistic pursuits alone. One way or another, we are using our will, our executive mind power all the time. We choose a course of action, we resist, we resent, we submit, or we fight back. We aim high, or we slide backwards. Or we are willing to consecrate and dedicate our will to God and to let it be re-educated to be in alignment with Source. So, we practice. We practice. We aim high. We create goals and make commitments, like finding our purpose. We find our purpose through a spark of divine inspiration, through focusing our intention and focusing our attention, while allowing our purpose to radiate from us effortlessly. We are all uniquely created for a particular purpose. I firmly believe that. It may take a minute for you to realize what your purpose is, It might take half a lifetime. And for some people, it takes almost a whole lifetime to find that purpose, to find it, to recognize it, and to realize your life's purpose. When I was young, my purpose found me. And it was an ordinary day in the gym, that ordinary day that sparked extraordinary passion in a young girl to be a high jumper. Instantly I loved it. Instantly I knew this is what's for me. It's my destiny. It was my purpose to be one of the best high jumpers in the world. I told my gym teacher that. I love this. I want to be the best in the world at this. She looked at me like, what? But I did. I knew it was for me. Was that my will? Was it divine inspiration? Was it God's will? In Ephesians, we are told we are God's masterpiece. Well, at that point in my life, I was 13. I had no idea what it would be to be God's masterpiece. Absolutely, I believe my talent was God-given. It was natural. No one taught me. I had never even been exposed to organized sports or athletics because we had just that year, the year before, half of the school year, moved from a farm in the middle of the Appalachian Mountains that was so remote, so isolated, into the city, which is, not near as big as St. Petersburg, but we moved from the farm to the city. So I had never even heard of or seen or knew anything about organized athletics and sports and that they were an option. I've never seen a track meet, never seen a high jumper or a long jumper or a triple jumper, never knew what that was. And I know I've told that story before, so now I'm just going to refer to it right now. I'm not going to tell you that story. But God did not make a mistake. That's my point in telling you that. God did not make a mistake. This tall, skinny little country girl was created perfectly for that purpose. That in my younger stages, that word did describe me, skinny. Not so much now. I've grown up and grown a little out, and I know y'all forgive me. And I'm working that challenge from last Sunday. Who else is? To eat, move, and meditate. And when I was so excited to get a message from Jenny, who said she's recommitted to eating the diet she knows works for her, and that she lost 3 pounds. And I said, and that's the way it works. When you bring yourself in alignment with what you know is for you, if you have excess weight, it just falls away. When you are in alignment with what you know to be right for you. And I want you to be, I hope you will be, who God created you to be. You are an original, an individual and unique creation. Child of God, perfect with will and purpose. Let your gift shine. Let your light shine. We aren't hiding it under any baskets, in bushel or otherwise. Be the authentic original you were created to be. Walk your talk. I'm walking my talk. I'm exactly who God called me to be. God called me to be up here, and I am up here.
Amen.
And is that a product of my willpower, of a divine appointment, or divine anointment? As we go down the road, it reveals itself. Is it your willpower, or is it meant to be? Is it coming from Spirit? Jesus was a great way shower in overcoming the human selfish motivation of the will and allowing it to be replaced by a great unification with the divine will producing good for all. Just be that in a minute. The great unification of our will and divine will for the good of all. The rewards of unifying our wills with the will of God are so great. They include health, happiness, joy, peace, harmony, prosperity, and other good that we are just beginning to imagine, just beginning to visualize, because it is so amazing we cannot even imagine all the good and all the success that come to us when we just step up and say, yes, I am worthy, and yes, I am willing to do. Learning to activate the divine will in your life does not mean that you simply submit to the human will of others. It means you rise higher to God's will, to good will. There is no grace on your life but to do what is yours to do, to fulfill your purpose. Someone else. Ever. Be an original in your own uniqueness and stepping fully into the power that is you. You can be the best you in the world. No one else can be a better you. It's you. Be it. Be that beautiful you. Be who you are, truly you. There's a favor and a blessing on your life when you step into it and be you. When I was an athlete, I knew I was favored. No one told me. No one had to tell me. I had a knowing in my soul that I was favored, that this was for me. And when I followed my intuition, that still small voice within, I knew I was following my God voice, God's purpose for me, God's will, good will. So be focused in your intention. Be an intentional warrior. Don't get distracted trying to live someone else's life or what you think someone else expects of you. Live your life, not what society or someone else expects of you. As your spiritual leader, I walk my talk. I'm true to my gifts and my talents. I can't sing like Jeremiah. I can't bring you to tears with my voice like Jessica. But I can do me. I can't dance across the stage like Dr. Michel Beckwith. You know, sharing the stage with him in New York at Carnegie Hall was such an amazing experience. To be in that energy, right there with him. And then speaking and looking down at him. He was sitting right about where Myrtle is to me right now. And I was speaking, and when he could see that I was a little bit nervous, he looked at me and he went, and I was like, what a beautiful, generous soul. And dance across the stage. When you're in that energy, man, it is a true divine gift. But I can use my gifts. I can smile. I can connect. I can teach. I can encourage. I can inspire you to radiate the God source from inside you and share it with the world. That's my gift. I think I'm pretty good at that. Coaching you to be truly who you know yourself to be. When you fully embrace who you are, doing what it is for you to do, living your purpose. You celebrate yourself, you celebrate others, you flow through life easily with hardly any effort at all. Leslie taught me it has to come with ease. Ease. There's hardly any willpower needed when it comes with ease. Then you have attained that goodwill place in your practice. You have found your purpose and you are unselfish in that purpose. You have an abundant disposition towards others and the good of all life. You freely express compassion, generosity, and forgiveness. You have a larger purpose. You become a harmonizing energy and balancing force because you are allowing divine love and understanding to pour forth. When you find yourself confronted by a strong will that insists you go its way, turn within to the Christ consciousness, the God self, the spiritual core of your nature, and silently say to that other person, the Christ in me beholds the Christ in you. And let the love of God and the understanding of the spiritual nature of that other person pour forth from you so strongly that there is no conflict of human wills, no clash of personalities, no power struggle for control. Rather, there is a higher power at work, establishing harmony and order, establishing balance and alignment. Goodwill is our first attempt to express the love of God, to radiate source energy and love, opening up like a 10,000-petal flower. Then, that's when you have reached that goodwill place in your practice. Are you saying, I hear you, Reverend Kimberly, but I have pain in my life, I have obstacles, I have trials, I have challenges. We all do. We all face obstacles, challenges. We all stumble across roadblocks on our journey. But successful people are so focused on their goal that they don't concern them with what others are doing. Come into that space that is you, that is yours to do. Don't compete with others. Let them do them, and you do you. Don't be jealous. Don't be intimidated. Be inspired. Successful people like to align and be around other successful people. Celebrate another person. Celebrate where they are. Celebrate that person that thinks they're competing with you. Celebrate them. You'll find yourself being blessed as well in the process on that journey, because God's favor is not limited. Our divine creator can favor me, can favor you, can favor each and every one of us, with no one of us being diminished, because it is an endless, limitless supply. That is the beauty of source energy, God's energy, and God's love. It's infinite, and there is no lack. We each have access to that endless supply. It does not diminish your bucket for my bucket to be full. And it does not lessen my bucket because your bucket is full. We can all have full buckets every day. We can all have full buckets. So don't miss your destiny because you're concerned about what someone else is thinking or doing. Don't start competing with someone who may not even realize you're competing with them. That's one of the things I like about sports. You know who's competing. Because they stood up at the line and the starter shot the gun off, and you know who you're competing with. In life, sometimes not so much. We imagine, we get lost in that. We start thinking somebody's competing with us, and they're not even aware that we're competing with them, because they're just being them. So you be that person. You do you, let them do them. If you're trying to be something you're not, trying to live a purpose that's not yours, life will be a struggle. You'll face challenge after challenge, and you think you have to have a lot of willpower. Oh, I gotta have a lot of willpower, man. But if you accept, you don't have to compare, and you don't have to compete, and realize I'm not them, I'm me. And God made me perfect. And God made us each with different gifts. And he gives us exactly the right and perfect gift we need to be us. We need to be a success. You find yourself at the highest expression of will when you are living clear intention, in harmony, in balance, and in alignment with source, and fulfilling your divine plan. I am blessed to have the gifts I have, and blessed to be me, and the best me I can be. I don't say, well, I'd trade that if I could sing. I don't sing. I say, turn that microphone off when it comes to singing. Because I'll be over there like I'm singing, and I'm singing, but I don't want y'all hearing it because I can't sing. But I know my gifts, and I'm blessed to have the gifts I have. and no willpower at all is required when we are living our purpose and living in our joy. In closing, I'm going to ask you, do you know what you are? Do you know who you are? Do you know your life's purpose? If you're asking those questions, I would say connect to God. Connect to that God source within you, that still small space inside, and radiate out that divine love, and you will find yourself living your purpose because it will just happen for you. You know, there's a song. There's a song that the beautiful Amon sings that I love. That song is, I am what I am. I am what I am. I don't want praise and I don't want pity. I bang my own drum. Some thinks it's noise and some think it's pretty. I am what I am, and what I am needs no excuses because God made me me, and I am me. Don't discount your gifts. They are divine, unique gifts. It's yours and yours alone. Something might stand in your way as an obstacle, a challenge, or a test. Use it. Use it for you. It's there so you can step boldly up to the plate, step up and say, it's my time. I celebrate my friend's success. Now I'm living my purpose with my talents and gifts divinely inspired. I am living in that good will, God's will. Your God says there is greatness in you. And I believe it. I believe it. And don't let anyone talk you out of it. Your God says there is greatness in you. No, you are in God's favor, and God's will be done. And so it is. And I